We're not just trying to find the people who are lost, but the lost voices, the lost stories, and the lost hope of their loved ones as well.
The two boys that were in the vehicle and their parents that helped cover up the vehicle are all guilty.
We want the families to know that people still give a damn.
I saw my father put his hands around her neck, and then he carried her out of my sight.
Our name is also our mission. We are locating the lost.
I've accepted my brother's death. I can still talk to him. I just don't see him physically. And I know I'm a believer that I'm going to see him again one day.
Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and most podcast platforms.
And we are live. Thank you to everyone that's watching this live, and thank you to everyone watching this back as a recording.
Yes, absolutely. So tonight we're joined by Patricia McGinnis and Lucas Frazier. She is the mother and he's the friend of missing person Braonain McGinnis, missing from Maryland, December 21st, 2023. Welcome both to Locating the Lost.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So Patricia, and we forgot to mention this. This is something we always forget to mention in the pre-conversation. There are going to be some pictures. I know you had sent them to me earlier, so I just wanted you to be prepared that you can see pictures of your missing son on screen as you talk about him. But if you will, please talk about Braonain and what he was like growing up.
Braonain was full of life. He was a very, very happy child, full of energy. Couldn't sit still. He was definitely the definition of bouncing off the walls. He was always on the go. Got along with everybody. And then later into his teenage years, of course, he hit the normal teenage, angsty, mad at the world years. But we managed to get through those. And let's see, graduated high school, and then, there's really not a whole lot more I can say that is coming to mind.
It's okay. And Lucas, when did you meet Braonain?
Met him 10 years ago during high school. We met over a video game. We stayed in contact, got closer, had some different hobbies that we wanted, or had hobbies we wanted to figure out we liked together, TV shows, and we kind of bonded over that stuff over a while. He was very kind, nice. He was there for you if you needed him. Didn't matter what time of the day it was. If you needed something, he'd be there ready and willing to help with it in any way he could.
He looks like quite the character.
Yeah, and I could tell from that picture earlier on, the black and white one. It looked like you guys were sitting down, or you were sitting at a outside sort of venue. Like he had a grin to him. He looked like he was a very happy person.
Yes.
Like he had a smirk, almost like he was up to something. But
well, we were on a train at the times, and he absolutely loved. We did a dinner, like a dinner theater, like murder mystery on a train.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and so he absolutely loved trains ever since he was a little boy, and so he was definitely in his happy place at that moment.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I see Braonain's name. I had a hard time with it, and luckily Lucas helped me and told me it's pronounced Braonain. How did you get that spelling?
His dad has Irish ancestry. And so when we were pregnant with him, we were determined to have an Irish name. And we had intended on having a water birth, birthing in the tub. And the word Braonain means drop of water.
Oh, very cool.
So when we found that name and we found the explanation of what the name means, we were locked in. Like that was it. There was no other name. And of course, everyone berated us for, oh, no one's going to know how to pronounce his name, and he's going to have a horrible time knowing that. He never had an issue spelling it. he,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
did just fine.
Yeah.
I
That's
have
awesome.
to admit that I had to keep going back and forth trying to spell it. So as I was typing things up.
We're used to it.
So how old was Brendan when he disappeared?
24.
So
Oh, wow.
once
He actually looks like he's a bit older than that.
Yeah, I guess the beard will do that.
Yeah, it really does.
if you can go into the details of what you know as far as like maybe the week leading up to his disappearance and then his actual disappearance.
So Brennan at the time was working at a produce warehouse, and he worked an evening shift. So his shift was generally like from 4 p.m. to about midnight, which was perfect for him because he's a night owl. He's not a morning person. It gave him the opportunity to sleep all morning and be active and have something to do in the evening. So really, like, we were kind of ships passing in the night a lot. I never really got to see him too much. He still resided here at the house, which there's more details to that. He was recently co-owner of the home. He was in the process of me transferring the home to him. So I never really got to see him too much. And the week before he went missing, so that would have been like the Friday before, not sure what day that would have been. Every year for Christmas, we do a family craft activity. Like one year we painted ceramics. Another year we strung popcorn for the tree. And then this past year, what we did is we made miniature Christmas trees. And we sat around the dining room table, did our family craft that Friday before he went missing. And nothing seemed off. Everything seemed totally fine, totally normal. He was in good spirits. And then I really didn't see him too much other than like hearing him coming and going from work until the day on, it was the 22nd was when I noticed he wasn't home.
Okay. And Lucas, are you familiar with other friends of Brennan? Like, do you know who he was hanging out with at the time?
I know their names, and I hear they were going out to do activities, but I didn't really know much more than that. The one he usually would bring up was his friend Chris, because they would hang out a lot together whenever they had free time.
All right. So what alerted you to him being missing, Patricia? You just realized he hadn't come home the night before? Is that what it was?
So Brennan is very much a creature of habits. He's pretty much locked into his routine, loves his routines, very rarely deviates from his normal pattern. And that Friday would have been his day off from work. And when I got up that morning to get ready for work, I noticed his light was on in his room, which I didn't think too much about it because it was his day off. So he would have been staying up late to play video games, talk to friends. And when I went to go leave the house to go to work, his car wasn't outside. And back in October, we had an attempted theft on his car. So he has a Hyundai. So he was on the hot list of the easily,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. All
easily
the vehicles are
stolen.
getting stolen. Yeah.
Yes. So someone had attempted that back in October, and they were unsuccessful. I don't, for whatever reason, they didn't actually get the car, but we did have to do repairs on the vehicle after that. So when I went to go leave and I saw his car wasn't there, my first thought was, oh my gosh, someone stole his car this time. Like they actually got it.
Right.
So I turned around and came back inside to go get Brennan because I'm thinking he's in his room because his light is on. Except when I go in his room, he's not there. And of course, as a mother, my first instinct is to panic and think, oh my gosh, something's wrong. But I've been trying to calm myself down and not jump to worst case scenario right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to, okay, Trish, rationalize this. What's a more logical explanation as to why he's not here? And I was like, he doesn't cook. He doesn't do anything in the kitchen to prepare food. I'm thinking it's morning time. He probably ran out to get something to eat. So in my mind, I'm telling myself, he just went to go get something to eat. He's a grown man. Let him do his thing. Go to work. That's it. If there's something wrong, he'll call you.
Right. And he's still 24 too, right? So you're still coming out of like raising him, right?
Yeah.
So
Trying to
like,
let go.
right, coming out, yeah, right. That transition of like, okay, yes, he's an adult, he's probably doing his own things. No, it's completely understandable.
Yeah. However, so I go to work and I really don't give it a second thought after that. I've really allowed myself to believe he just ran out to get something to eat and he's going back home. And it did seem odd that he would leave his light on because he's usually pretty good about turning off lights when you're not in the room.
Right.
And then when I got home later that evening after work, I know, of course, as soon as I arrive home, his car's not here. And I'm thinking like, okay, did he go back out? And then I spoke with everyone else in the household and no one had seen him. No one had seen him all day long. And then that's when the panic set in. That's when I knew something was wrong.
Did you try to get a hold of his workplace to see if like maybe he picked up an extra shift or anything like that?
I didn't. He was still pretty new on this job. He had only been there for a couple months, so I didn't even have their number. I would have had to look it up. Of course, I did immediately. I tried to call him and text him, and there was no answer. And then I called his friend Chris, who lives locally, to see if maybe Brennan was with him, or have you seen him? Have you talked to him? But no, the thought of him picking up an extra shift really didn't occur to me at that time.
Right. So what came next for you guys? Getting a hold of the police and
Yes,
trying
instantly.
Yeah.
I notified Anne Arundel County Police Department right away, and they filed the missing persons report. And then
I was gonna ask you, what was the reaction? Was it like we hear so often that the police departments just say, "Oh, give it time, he'll come home"? Did they try to talk you out of filing the missing persons report, or they just took it? No questions asked.
They were
awesome.
very helpful. They were
Awesome.
They were wonderful. They were very sympathetic and considerate, and I kept apologizing, thinking that, that like you said, like, oh, I should be given this time. Like, I know I shouldn't, be jumping to conclusions, but I'm telling you, like, something's wrong. And they're like, no,
Right.
you did the right thing.
Well,
So they
kudos to
were
them.
definitely
Awesome.
on my
Yeah.
side.
Good on them. That's because like
Yeah.
he said, it is very often very common that we hear the opposite. So that's very encouraging to hear that.
Yeah.
So following that, did what was the next sort of update? Did you said that you tried to call him. I assume that his phone was ringing at the time, or did it go directly to voicemail?
Directly to voicemail
Okay.
for
Did
several
they
minutes. Like, actually, it never rang through beyond that. It was always straight to voicemail.
did they say if they had any video of him, or is there any sightings of him after he disappeared?
So, everything. Between myself and my brother and Lucas, we did all of the investigation in that first week. We kind of left the police department in the dust. They were probably shaking their head at me like, "What do you need me for?" Because I had already done so much. Since his computer was here in the home, all we had to do was figure out his password to get on the computer, and then we had instant access to everything. We were able to check his bank account. We were able to check his phone records. We were able to check his messaging on his computer to see if he was talking to anybody. And there was nothing. It was crickets across the board. There was
Wow.
no activity on his bank card, credit cards. His last text message he doesn't call. He doesn't call anybody. He texts. So his last outgoing text message was on December 19th. What else was I gonna say?
Who was the
about
last person he texted, or what was the conversation?
His last outgoing text message was to his therapist. He had an appointment that day on the 19th, and he had been called into work that night, so he had texted his therapist to cancel his appointment. And that was it. There was nothing else on his phone beyond that.
And just because I have a feeling that someone might ask this, with the therapist, was that just routine, like, hey, just to make sure I'm taking care of myself? Like, he didn't have any like harmful thoughts or anything like that, right?
Yeah. So he was in a maintenance phase. Brennan has battled major depressive disorder most of his teenage life and into young adulthood. And he has been seeing a therapist pretty much on a weekly basis ever since he was in his mid-teens. But he had, like I said, he was in a maintenance phase for like the past 5 years. Everything had been stable and
Okay.
no issues.
Good. So what was the next sort of update that you guys had gotten about any of this?
Yes.
About him?
So the next update we got was the following week on a Friday, Friday the 29th. Anne Arundel County Police Department called me and notified me that a tag reader had pinged his car going through Illinois, going west. And at that point, from the Friday he went missing until the Friday we got that detail about his tag in Illinois, we were searching in Maryland. Like we were going out in the car, driving to parks that he liked to go to, driving, like going anywhere we could think of that he would enjoy being in. We were searching in Maryland that entire week. And then when we found out his car was in Illinois, it all of a sudden, like, all hope was lost. It was like, we're looking for a needle in the haystack. He could be anywhere. Like he has a car in the entire country, 48 states.
That must have been slightly encouraging, though, right? That like that you thought the vehicle's on the move, at least, that like he's not harmed somewhere, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was definitely encouraging to know that that he was out there. Just why? Where was he going? What was he doing? What was his motive?
Where were the pictures on the screen here? Where were those taken? Was that from the mall?
Yes, so that was at Marley Station Mall. So we had, well, the one on the left is him at the pharmacy, and then the one on the right is at Marley Station Mall. So when my brother came over to help us access his computer, and we were able to access his Google location history, and that gave us a beautiful map of all of his movements that day. We were
Wow.
able to tell where he went at what time, um, and we were able to track his movements on that day. So that would have been on Thursday, the 21st. It appeared he left home at his normal time to go to work and was headed towards work, but then he stopped and deviated and went to Arundel Mills Mall first and was there for several hours. And then he came back into town, into Glen Burnie, and went to the Weiss grocery store, picked up a prescription for vitamin D. Nothing life-saving, nothing, not a controlled substance, nothing major, just vitamin D. And picked up a case of water and a box of granola bars, and then we were able to see that he went to the bank. He withdrew some money out of savings.
Do you mind saying how much, or do you know how much?
It was $200 out of his savings account, which
So
was
not much, just like
not
just
much.
spending money on hand, right?
Yep. My first thought was he was going to go Christmas shopping. Like, it was the perfect time. Like that was logically, that was my first thought, was he took out money to go Christmas shopping. And then seeing that he was at Arundel Mills Mall and then at Marley Station Mall. So again, I'm rationalizing to myself, like, he hadn't, I already knew he hadn't purchased Christmas gifts for anybody. So my thought was, oh, it's crunch time. I guess I better go do this.
Kind of sounds like a guy thing to do.
Yeah.
Do you know who Will William is? He says, I searched all around Marley Station Mall 3 different times.
The name doesn't sound familiar. But we had a lot of people in the area looking. Lucas had done a real thorough job at getting the word out there. And
Lucas, when was the last time that you got to speak to Brennan? Did you guys speak fairly regularly? Were you guys online talking a lot?
Yeah, the last time I talked to him and had a whole conversation, one that we did our normal thing that we do every day, play video games, was the 18th. And then I had picked up overtime throughout the week. I work nights as well. So he goes in before I go in and I get out as he's sleeping. Yeah, I didn't get around to messaging him again until I believe it was Christmas Day. And that's when they got a hold of me over Discord and let me know that he had been missing. And that's how I found out.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I, looking at the pictures and hearing about this, like I feel a strong connection to Brennan too, because like he has a lot of the same hobbies, like all the Star Wars stuff. I'm a big video gamer as well, and I've loved I'm the same sleep schedule. Like usually I'm up until like 4 a.m. because I can't sleep. Spending a lot of time on Discord. So, no, I can sympathize with
I'm in
with
bed by
him
8
in his situation. Yeah,
that's me.
So is Brennan much of a hiker? I saw like this picture here shows him, looks like he's hiked somewhere. Was he into the outdoors?
He did enjoy the outdoors, but more from a novice point of view. It was like he didn't shy away from the opportunity to be outdoors. We took him camping. His first camping trip, he was only 5 months old. So he's been exposed to camping trips and hiking trails all along the years. He definitely enjoys being out in nature.
All right. So in leading into that, they find his car, right? this
Yes.
vehicle.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that?
So that would have been January 3rd was when we were notified that they had located his vehicle north of the Grand Canyon off of 89A. So it's kind of close to Page, Arizona. It's out in the middle of nowhere. There's
Actually, I think Jeff's going to pull up Google Earth
nothing
here so people
nearby.
can see.
Yeah, and this is just a representation of, I mean, not that anyone really needs to see it because we all know, like, this is the distance. So this is Marley Station, and this is where the vehicle is found, the other side of the country.
And literally almost straight
literally.
across.
Literally.
Cool.
He took it appears he took the northern route going through Illinois and then coming down through Colorado into Arizona.
Yeah, and we looked at this earlier with you guys, and there's nothing out there.
Nothing. There's nothing. There's no gas stations. There's no nothing. It's just miles and miles and miles of desert.
Yeah,
That's
and even
massive.
out here, you can see that there's, Google will show you whatever businesses or stuff that might be around. And out here, there's overlooks and then a monument and then like a viewing site. Like that's like all that's
Did the
out
vehicle-
here. It's-
The vehicle still had gas in it, right?
Very little. So when I spoke to the Coconino County Sheriff's Office, they said so the keys were left with the vehicle. There was nothing inside except for a pair of jeans folded up on the passenger seat. The tags had been removed from the car, and the keys were left with the vehicle. So since the keys were left with the vehicle, they were able to start the vehicle to ascertain whether or not it was in good working order. They said it was running, no mechanical issues, all 4 tires intact, and there was about 20 to 15 miles left of gas in the tank. So the reader was showing about 15 miles to empty. Which
I got a question
might
here
not.
real quick. Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead, finish.
I was just going to say that might not have been enough to make it to the closest gas station. The sheriff's office says that he could have, but without a map, how do you know? How do you know?
I don't know.
right. And his phone wasn't on.
Correct.
So Joseph says, thank you for sharing your son's story. 2 questions. Were there any other belongings other than his car and phone that he had around the time he disappeared? Extra clothes or an overnight bag? Second question is, was he romantically involved with anyone? So was there anything missing from home that you know of for clothing or?
That was definitely one of the first things that I checked to see if this was like a planned, I just got to get out of here type of situation. I checked through his belongings as much as I could. I really couldn't see where an abundance of clothes would have been taken. Everything seemed intact.
How about a backpack or anything?
No, he did not have a backpack anymore. He left those days behind in high school. He said goodbye to that and never looked back. His winter coat was still in his closet. He was here in Maryland. It doesn't get too cold in early December, so he was still rocking a light jacket.
Yeah. Especially this last winter was very mild in the Northeast area anyway. So
yeah, so his winter coat was still at home. We checked all of our outdoor and camping gear, and all of our gear was still here at the house.
yeah, that's very smart to check on that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then
What
as
about
for this,
was he romantically involved with anyone that you know of?
no, not that I know of. And of course, when we looked through the computer, we did check to see if he was talking to anybody, thinking, because that thought crossed our mind too. Maybe this is a romantic rendezvous.
Right.
We found no evidence of that. And Brendan was always pretty open with me. He never felt the need to hide anything from me or be secretive, or he was always bouncing ideas off of me. And one of the most recent ones he had bounced off at me was his interest in waiting until he was in a more stable environment before even considering looking for a girlfriend or significant other.
That's very grown up of him.
Yeah, very unusual for a 24-year-old.
Yeah, but I mean, it's pretty obvious just from talking to you and seeing the pictures. Like, you guys were a very close family. Like, I can see that. Like, just the train ride that you guys were on, the murder mystery, and all the stuff you guys do for Christmas, the craft stuff. Like, it's very obvious you guys are very close. So this must have.
Sure.
I can definitely see why you panicked a little bit there. Like, that makes perfect sense.
Lucas, had he talked about going anywhere or doing anything out of the ordinary?
No.
Never
Not
talked
that
about
I-
like any future plans he might want to learn or
Want to
things
go
he
see
wanted
the
to
Grand
go do.
Canyon, maybe?
No, the only place I could ever have seen him going would be Washington, because we planned on going out there when I'd visit. When I planned on visiting, we were going to go to Washington, D.C., because that's one of the places that's in the game we play. But other than that, I don't really know anywhere else you would want to go. We never talked about wanting to go anywhere.
What do you mind me asking what the game was?
It
What
was the
game is?
Division 2.
I knew it was the Division. I knew it was going to be the Division. Yeah.
So you've probably
That's the
seen
only thing
Jeff.
that come to
You've
mind.
seen Jeff running around on that
He's
field too.
probably killed me a few times, actually. Garbage. But so that now in the vehicle, I assume his phone was not found in there, right?
Correct. Yeah. There was literally not. They said the car was cleaned out. And there was nothing. No, the only garbage in there was the empty box of granola bars.
Oh, okay.
Not
So that
so
was
like
He
he
bought a
he-
case of water and the granola
Right.
bars he took with him.
Yeah.
Was there any
and so
water
I
left?
was expecting to see like a load of empty bottles in the back seat, but there nothing. No bottles, no wrappers, just the empty box of granola bars. And well, I don't have the pair of jeans. They're still in evidence, but that was it.
Did they search the vehicle to look for like any forensic issues,
Yes.
like fingerprints or blood or
Yes.
evidence or anything? Nothing was found.
Nothing was found. They dusted the vehicle for prints. They inspected the area surrounding the car for signs of a struggle. And there was nothing.
Andrea said she was late joining. Thank you for sharing the story. She was just wondering, was he struggling with any mental health issues, which we kind of talked about briefly.
Right. So yeah, so as I said earlier, it had pretty much been an ongoing battle with depression for Brennan. But he was in a stable state and had been for several years.
yeah.
And
So it doesn't seem very likely that this had anything to do with that.
So Will William is Christina's husband. So I assume you know
Yes.
who Christina is. Okay.
yes,
And then he wants to know, how close to Chicago did the tag reader scan his tag? Do you know where in Illinois?
it was on I-74 headed west.
So near the bottom of Illinois.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Illinois. That's the detail I got from. It was a tag
Yeah,
reader. on I-
Chicago's up at very north, right?
Yeah. So it seems like
Okay.
he's at the furthest point in the state
Right.
from
Yes,
Chicago.
I do have a relative who lives in Illinois, but there's no chance that he would have been trying to go and visit them. He wouldn't have even had their address.
Okay.
So, but that's essentially where up till now, right? Is that as much as you information you guys have about anything?
About him traveling west and where the vehicle was found.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything pretty much comes to a screeching halt at that point. There was one other hit on his tag in Las Vegas on Christmas Day.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay. Wow, on
So
Christmas
it
Day.
seemed like he made it to Vegas and then turned around and came back.
Okay.
So yeah, so on I can't remember what the route was that his car was found. Was it the car
89
pointed back like
I
he's
think.
heading back towards your house, or was it pointing away from your house?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not sure if he
I
was
don't
traveling
know.
east or west at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know which way the car was headed. I always presumed it would be headed east since his tag was red in Las Vegas,
Right.
but I guess it's always possible he had traveled the south side of the Grand Canyon and came up around the other side. It may have been headed back west again.
So
I'm
that
not
that
sure.
whole trip
That's a good
with
question for me to ask.
with that vehicle traveling that distance, I would have to assume that he had to have gone through some tolls. And
And
a
gas
lot of
stations.
those, yeah, and a lot of those had, will have cameras on them or something.
Right. He did have an easy pass,
Mhm.
and when we gained access to his computer, we were able to look at his easy pass transactions, and there was nothing. So I don't know if he managed to bypass all of the tolls, which is incredible to me because we've
Yeah.
never received a bill in the mail, and
So-
it would have flagged the vehicle had he gone through a toll.
Right.
So he would have had to
If-
have like used his phone to avoid tolls, but his phone didn't ping unless he has a GPS in his vehicle, which I don't know if he
Not
did.
that I'm aware of. No.
So Shannon is asking, well, she says, he's been on my mind ever since I found out. Such a great kid. I worked with him at GBHS.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's been actively following all of our details and updates, and wonderful person. Thank you, Shannon.
Oops, that's not the one I was looking for. I'm sorry. Andrea says, has there been any reported sightings of him? So has anyone seen him outside of, I think I had read that someone saw him at the mall area or something, or at least the video shows him at the mall. Is there any other sightings of him?
Outside of Maryland, Lucas has very thoroughly spread the word, trying to get everyone looking for Brennan. And I don't know if you want to cover this, Lucas, about the sightings that we've had out in the Arizona area. We haven't been able to confirm whether any of them were actually him, but we do get lots of reports.
We flew out to Arizona not too long ago because we were getting a lot of reports that he was out there. One of the big ones that we looked at was people thought they had seen him hang out on Dunlap and 19th in Phoenix, and he was hanging out by the WSS and the other gas station that was out there. So we went out to see if we could find him or if there was anyone who's seen him in the area. A lot of people out there said that they've seen him, but there are people that look like him, but they're not sure where they're hanging out. We checked out the homeless shelters and whatnot, but a lot of it was people looked similar to him, so they weren't sure if it was him or not. We put up posters. We did thorough searches through what we could when it came to the homeless shelters around them, seeing if anyone knew. We did a couple of homeless feedings to see if anyone knew to pass out more flyers there. But other than that, we never really got a positive ID.
You know what's strange is I just had a conversation today with a gentleman that I work with. Have you guys seen or read the book or seen the movie Into the Wild, the Chris McCandless story?
Yeah.
About the kid that
It's been brought to my attention that Brennan's story is very similar.
yeah, like just hearing this, it reminded me instantly of that, and it's weird that I just had the conversation with someone today about that same movie. So
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah.
Let's see. I saw someone had asked a question. Oh, did he have an easy pass? You said he didn't, right?
Yes. He did have an easy pass.
Oh, was that still in the car?
No, it was not.
Was the easy pass missing?
Yes.
So what?
Because we were hoping
what-
to use the easy pass on our way home. And it was not there.
What do you guys think happened?
That's been
I'm sorry if that's a tough question.
No, it's just that's been the big question. You know, of course, given his history with depression, yes, I've thought the worst, that this was a one-way trip. But I keep going back to his last steps here in Maryland. If your intention was to end your life, why do you go pick up a mundane prescription like vitamin D?
Right.
It's not
Right.
it's not life-saving. It's not going to, like, it's not something you would need to reach your destination. You know, like, I could see, like, if it was blood pressure medication or something
Right.
that you need to sustain yourself. It was just vitamin D.
Yeah, which is
And
still,
then-
especially
and
for
it's all-
wintertime, it's more of a mood stabilizing
Yeah.
thing, if anything.
It wouldn't have done any damage if he had gone without it. It's
Mhm.
not something you can use to overdose. And that's the one that just keeps tripping me up. Why pick
Well-
up your prescription if this was your goal?
Right.
That, and like you-
and again, oh, go ahead.
That, and you said like he was at the mall a few days before Christmas. That's what people do at the mall, is go buy Christmas gifts and things.
Right.
Yeah, and if there was any sort of severe depression, if he was trying to do, like, if it was a suicide sort of situation, he doesn't seem the type to me, as close as you guys are, to not leave, to give closure to you guys, right? To just disappear, and in my opinion.
Yeah. That's what I would hope.
Has he ever done this before, where he left home for a couple days or anything like that?
Not for a couple days. When he was still in high school, we did have an incident when his depression was really bad, and we were still trying to help him manage things and get it under control, and he was having suicidal thoughts. This would have been I think he would have been about 16 or 17 at the time. And he had left the house. And when I came home, so, sorry, I'm like trying to gather my thoughts on this because it's
No,
been
you're
so
okay.
long since
Take
I've
time.
thought about it. It's been a long time since I thought about it. He, like I said, he's a creature of habit. So after school, you knew where to find him. He was on his computer playing video games. So one day when I came home from work and he wasn't home, he wasn't driving at the time. He did not have his driver's license yet. And he wasn't here. And his cell phone was here. All of his belongings were here. And I just instantly knew something was wrong. And so we did do a missing person search at the time. And the Anne Arundel County Police Department did end up locating him not too far from the house, probably about a mile or two away. And he had intended on ending his life, but hadn't gathered the courage to do it. So they committed him that night.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yep.
Kara, so we actually covered a case a couple weeks ago. I think, Lucas, I sent that to you, right? With the missing person. He'd been missing for like 2.5, 3 years. Mom and sister hadn't heard from him. And Kara had shared the story on a bunch of homeless outreach programs online. And that's kind of how I think he was found, because someone recognized his posters that she had shared on some homeless pages and things. So she says, have you tried reaching out to the homeless outreach programs online? California ones were super helpful in the search for Eric. You can scroll their photos and see if you see him in the background.
Mm-hmm.
We did that pretty much everywhere that he would have passed through, anywhere he Googled or where his tag was. We reached out to any groups that we could out there, looked through photos, talk to them. They put up posters in their facilities if they had them, and shared all the other stuff. People are looking for him out there. Nothing's come of it yet, though.
All right. And then Andrea says, do you circulate pictures of him without a beard and maybe with shorter hair?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that would be probably pretty useful.
Yeah, we actually had someone reached out to us and volunteered to do computer-generated images of different hairstyles, facial hair, like so we do on the Help Find Brennan page, we do have a picture of all the different options.
And speaking of that, the Help Find Brennan page, I'm going to share this out for everyone to
Yes, please.
to go join that, follow, to keep up to date on any of this stuff. And if anybody has any information, absolutely share it with them. But also, if anyone has any information about this, this is being handled by the Coconino County Sheriff's Department, and their phone number is 928-774-4523. Just wanted to make sure we got that out there.
So we heard what Patricia's thoughts were. Lucas, do you have any thoughts of what you think happened? Or, I mean, does anyone think this foul play happened and his car was stolen?
The thought has crossed my mind. Of course, there's no way for us to know who is actually driving the car cross country. Did he go to Vegas and someone took his car from Vegas back to where it was left? And the sheriff's office, that's something that we've definitely talked over with them as well, is it's possible Brennan was not the one who left the car in Arizona.
And I know, like in TV shows, it's always like, where was the seat? So was the seat in a position that a guy that, what is he? Is he 5'10"? Is that what I saw? Or 5'11"?
5'11", yeah.
5'11". So was it a position that was normal for someone 5'10", 5'11"?
My daughter says yes, because she's the one who drove the car back.
Okay.
She says it was definitely in his position.
Okay. Well, that's helpful.
Now, what day was it that he was tagged in Las Vegas?
Christmas.
Is it the day before? Oh, Christmas.
Christmas Day
on
in
Christmas.
Vegas.
Okay. So that was like a nonstop almost drive to get from Maryland out there. So,
and how about the Illinois when it was tagged there?
That was on Friday the 22nd.
So the next day.
Yeah. And that was in the evening time on that day.
Mm-hmm. Now, Lucas, sorry, we didn't let you finish. What do you think happened?
I can't really think of why he would. He didn't really give off any ideas that he wanted to go somewhere. There's no indication there was something wrong. It's just out of the blue and not really like him.
Yeah.
Andrea asked, was there any surveillance of him in Vegas?
No.
That's the
No,
thing
the-
that I find I like there has to be footage of his vehicle somewhere on the trip that he'd made. Obviously it's somewhere. I just hope that the people who are investigating are trying to check in at these places. I mean it's been a long time now. But I wish that, once they started getting some of those pings, they would have checked like the routes to see if they could get a photo or a surveillance video of the vehicle going by. Maybe they could have seen who was driving. And
Have you guys timed how long that takes from Maryland to the location the vehicle was found, or Maryland to Vegas, then Vegas to where the vehicle was found? Like if it's a nonstop trip?
I did, just for the sake of so my daughter and I, his sister and I, flew out to Arizona to retrieve the car and drive it back. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember now what it said the calculation was for our return trip. It was like, I want to say it was about 3 days. If like if you were to do it nonstop, it takes about 3 days.
Wow.
yeah, that's wild. Yeah, so that's
Will Williams says a nonstop drive means the driver had a planned destination. Freelance drivers stop here and there. And that there's cameras everywhere, he says.
Yeah.
and even
Lucas,
even
you-
if he was with someone, like they would still at some point need to pull over and rest every
Right,
now
swap.
and then.
The last video footage that we have of him at Marley Station Mall before his cell phone is turned off, it does show you have the surveillance footage with you. That was one of your stills. He's by himself the entire time. He enters alone and he leaves alone.
And then Sarah, I'm probably saying it wrong. I'm sorry. She says, I know you said you had camping gear. How much outdoor hiking backpacking experience did he have? You said just basic, right? He was just
Novice. Yep. Nothing. Yeah.
Randy says he's done Maryland to San Diego in 2.5 days.
Oh,
Someone
geez.
was speeding.
That sounds like the Cannonball Run. That's crazy. 2.5 days. That's nonstop.
Yeah.
So where, if he's still out there somewhere, where do you suspect he would be hanging out? Like what types of places would he be hanging out at, or?
I mean, I think Lucas was right on at the thought of he's probably in a homeless group. That would definitely be more to his appeal. Something that's low stress, minimal responsibility, carefree, no, no expectations,
Mhm.
I think that would be something that would appeal to him.
Do you know if he knows about that story, the Into the Wild movie,
Into
or
the Wild, I don't know.
if you're interested to know if he ever watched that? Or, I mean, sometimes, especially young adults, they make decisions, and I know you were saying before we got on air that you're concerned that maybe he's not still around, but you definitely have to keep the faith, because if there's a good chance that he did want to kind of go on his own adventure for a while, and like just the other night, a couple weeks ago, that was missing for 3 years, and then all of a sudden he gets on there, hi mom. hopefully you have one of those experiences soon.
That would definitely be best case scenario.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to tell everyone before we get off here? Is there anything you want to share?
Just, we all miss him so much, and just even if he doesn't want to come home, just we would all just like to know if he's okay.
Mhm.
And what about you, Lucas?
Just want to know that he's all right and he's out there and he's taking some time. And then if he wants to come home, he lets us know.
Yeah, you guys both have done so much to share his story. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and just there was a comment here from Shannon saying we did read Into the Wild at in high
Glenburnie
school.
High
I assume is what
School.
it- yeah,
Yeah.
Glenburnie High School. I'm not sure what year, but I'm gonna go check. Okay. But yeah, no, yeah, I really hope that. Oh,
Jeff, can
I'm
you
sorry.
pull up the area, the general area where his car was located, and just show people how remote that was? Do the street view.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing there. Sorry, throw you off like that.
No, you're good. Yeah, up here is a small town. What is that? Marble Canyon. Like there's not much anywhere. Jacob Lake, I think there was a small little business area down here.
Yeah, I
But-
think there's a hotel there.
Right, but yeah,
That's
there's
miles.
Yeah, and this was roughly where the vehicle was found in this sort of area. But yeah, there's just nothing. Rocks, desert, trees this way.
Yeah, it's not an area you would hike out of. He would have. We've also wondered, like, did he hitchhike out of there? So, like,
Mhm.
did someone pick him up?
Is that
Yeah.
like a trucker's drive like through there? Is there a lot
No,
of truckers come through there or no?
I did not see. It's 2 lanes, pretty narrow and tight turns. I
Oh, that's right. You're
doubt
saying that.
a lot of trucks go through there, but a lot of locals do drive through there. So when Alyssa and I went out there to get the car, and we drove to that spot because we wanted to see with our own eyes and be on the same soil. And we did see a lot of vehicles going both directions. It fairly regular intervals. So it is, even though it's a pretty remote area, people do travel that road often.
Probably more
it's
locals.
possible someone picked him up and drove him out of there.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, are you able to? Is there a street view option in there? Because I know at one point when we
Yeah.
were looking
Oh, yeah,
earlier-
there is. Get my little guy.
There you go. There you are. Yeah. So not a lot going on out here.
No.
Oh wait, what is the mile marker that he was supposed to be at?
570 is right there.
570.
That's it right
Is that-
there.
How did you do that?
Magic. It was magic.
Oh my
So
gosh,
if
that's
you
crazy.
if you pan over the other side, there's like on the other side of the road, you'll see there's a area.
Oh, over this way.
Was it that way? Or maybe it is back on the same side with the mile marker.
This
There's a small
is
little-
westward. This is eastward.
Okay,
Like a
so
turnout?
it's a little bit past the mile marker. There's actually a spot off where you can actually pull your vehicle off to the side of the road. Kind of. I
So
don't really
for-
see it now, but
The ones watching, we literally tried to do that earlier. We're trying to find mile marker 570.
Yeah,
We
I was
could
like,
not find it.
yeah, there's no way we're gonna find mile marker 570, and we just
that
land
little
right on it.
That kind of goes along with Andrea's comment was, have you had any psychics or mediums reach out to you?
We had a family friend did reach out to. I don't know how I feel about that. How much stock and faith I put into it, but a family friend did actually contact a few.
And did they give any helpful information, or was
No.
it just vague stuff?
Yeah.
Kind of par for the course, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So that is crazy, though. You drop that little man right there on mile marker 570.
Yeah, I'm not seeing. There looks like there might be an overpass up this way, but I'm not seeing like the turnaround this way.
Yeah. It's yeah. See, like there's no room to walk on either side.
Yeah, yeah. This would be a very dangerous spot to be
Yeah, in the
walking
dark.
or hitchhiking.
The blue sweatshirt on.
Yeah.
If I, for some reason, drop off, I've got the shower at my house now, so
Oh, okay.
hopefully I don't lose power.
Yeah, I really hope that everything's okay for him. Hopefully he is, like Lucas was saying, just sort of taking some time. But he would be very proud of you guys for putting in the work. I know you're his mom, so you're going to do it nonetheless, but definitely kudos to you, Lucas.
All of the credit goes to Lucas. This is all him. He's my man on the ground.
Yeah, it seems like you've been doing an awesome job. Every time we've mentioned, hey, what about this? He's like, oh no, we've done that. So
Lucas, had you met Patricia before this, or was this how you guys met?
Me and Brennan always planned on meeting at some point, but work or car issues always wound up getting in the way.
So you're from Maryland as well?
No,
He's
I'm
in
from
New
New York.
Oh, okay, my mistake. Okay, so you guys met online, we're friends that way. Yeah. Okay, very cool. I'm still just scrolling trying to find this turnaround. Just ignore me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very desolate. Not a lot out there at all.
But yeah, unless anyone has any more questions, or if you guys have anything else left that you'd like to say,
Nothing I can think of. I think I've covered most everything. Lucas?
So we pretty much got everything.
Okay.
We really appreciate you guys jumping on here and doing this with us. It's kind of.
Oh, I think Travis his internet just went out. Well, yes, we appreciate you guys very much for being here, and we thank you for sharing Brendan's story. And if you guys have any updates whatsoever or anything that you want us to share, just let us know. We will definitely put that out there for people, and I'll put the link to you guys' page there, the Facebook page. I strongly recommend, like I said, for people to follow that, like it, help find Brennan, and with that, I think we'll probably say goodnight to everyone. So like we said earlier, if you guys want to stick around for a little bit after, so we can thank you again. But to everyone else who's watching, we appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Search for 5-year-old Taylor Williams led investigators to Alabama this week.
So we have some breaking news from Florida. An arrest has been made in connection.
After years of agony, a glimmer of hope for the family.
Investigators spent hours searching through this house off Pennsylvania Avenue.
What could be a major development in the search for missing Alabama teenager.
Tonight, a stunning twist in the search for Taylor.
Somebody out there knows something.
They want to lay him to rest their way, not by somebody else's way.
Doesn't say ended stream on my end, but I hit the button. Oh no, is this still going?